Hey, everybody. Welcome to We Talk Raw. I am your host today, Jennifer Busco, and I am so excited to interview someone I have never met before now. So it's going to be such a fun show. Today on We Talk Raw, we have Mr. Larry Farber of Middle C Jazz and East Coast Entertainment. Welcome, Larry.
I am so glad to be
here,
Jennifer.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be so good. Okay, so in the opener, you were standing with Foreigner, and I'm like, I know I love them, but I don't know if I can think of one song by Foreigner. But you met them.
Foreigner is one of these groups that when they got on stage, they probably have 15 number one hits.
Name me one. Let's sing one.
I can't name them now. What are you kidding? But they have 15
Someone
number
Google
one
it.
hits. Yeah, somebody Google it so we'll know. But they were at Music with Friends, which is another great venture I started in 2007 that we still are going forward with. And we just had the Beach Boys last week, and
Fun.
Richard Marx is coming in November. But that was one of our wonderful shows.
Great. Well, I'm excited to get to know you on air, on camera.
Yes.
So let's just start from the beginning. You're a Charlottean, correct?
I am, born and bred.
Wow.
Went to
How many
school here.
generations?
Well, I am my parents moved down here in probably 1950 from New York.
Oh, what part?
Yeah, they came. My dad went to Duke, loved the South, moved down, and I was born here at Mercy Hospital.
Aw.
Grew up, went to elementary, Cotswold, McClinic, Myers Park, went to Chapel Hill. I played in bands from the time I was 12 and came back after college. Thought I was going to go to law school, but music was in my blood then as it is now. And I made it my life's work.
I love that you say that because I really think it's true that some people just have music in their blood. I feel like I have music in my blood. You know, it's just, you just have it. It's just part of your being. It's part of your bones. And it's just something that's a part of so many people.
It's so true. Those that have that addiction to music know it, and we just can't get away from it. And I'm glad because it's been a great source of joy for me. And also you bring joy to so many other people.
And it's healing. I mean, that's what I do, you know, off camera, I'm a healer, and it really can be healing. Hearing a song from 20 years ago and remembering who you were and what you were doing and what you were going through when I was listening to Tori Amos, you know, and in their 90s, right? Like who I was someone completely different. And like
Absolutely.
how far I've come since.
No, isn't it true? I mean, songs evoke those memories of, you know, your prom, your first girlfriend, where you were, sad moments, everything. And part of the beauty, I know I'm getting off on a quick tangent, but a beautiful story is Music with Friends that I've had. Part of the beauty is the fact that on a couple of shows, I've had people that have come up that have lost dear ones in their life, kids, their soulmates, and there was that special song performed by that special artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to bring them backstage to get signatures, to meet them, and the tears and the joy, that is worth more than anything, more than any money that you can make from any venture, was just connecting people through music.
And I love what you're saying because music can be so powerful, and I want to get there in the conversation. It's also about, because I know you've met many famous musicians, understanding that they are just people as well and not deitizing, you know, or putting these humans, right, on a God pedestal when they're just humans. I mean, I'm obsessed and in love with Taylor Swift, but I have to remind myself that she is human. She still suffers on, I guess, in some ways. I'm not sure how, but
yeah,
as humans, you know, that's we have anger, we have sadness, we suffer, and I think it's so easy to put these big musicians on these pedestals. And that can sort of create, you know, a big space between you and the musician in that way, you know?
I grew up in Charlotte, and I grew up admiring so many of these great artists. And, you know, the idea that I might become really good friends with them or even meet them was beyond anything I could have imagined. But now that I have so many that are friends, really good friends, they are just like you and me, Jennifer. They are real people. This is just sort of like a 3-week ago example. There was a great musician that grew up in Charlotte, Maurice Williams, who wrote a ton of great songs. May I Stay, Little Darling, songs that were performed by Elvis and by Jackson Browne and so many people. Maurice passed away a month ago. I was fortunate enough to have Jackson Browne at Music with Friends in 2008. I also arranged for, as a surprise to our audience, to bring Maurice on stage with Jackson. Nobody in the audience knew, and they did their famous song, Stay. So when Maurice passed away a month ago, I decided to reach out to Jackson. Didn't know if he'd return the phone call. I sent a text to his agent, and I was sitting watching the debate, and the phone rings, and I look, and it says Jackson Browne. And I go, this can't, it was a area code that I knew was where he lived. I picked it up, and an hour later, we had the most incredible phone call just about Maurice Williams. He wanted to know about his life, how he died, what his life was like. He shared how he took his song and made it famous. And he was just a real compassionate, wonderful human being. And he ended the call. I was like, gosh, will I ever have a chance to talk to him again? He ended the call and said, hey, you've got my number now. Let's stay in touch.
Aww.
I mean, it's just, they're regular people.
Well, and that can be the beautiful thing about grief, too. It's like you both had some sort of a loss that you were connecting over, so it was probably very heartfelt in that way.
Absolutely.
Well, let's get to brass tacks,
okay,
shall we?
I'm ready.
So my question is, you live in Charlotte, but so let's talk about like your pull to music and how you got involved in this. So you said you were in a band when you were 12 and you play the piano, correct?
I did. The quick 60-second story is I play piano. I grew up in bands, some beach bands at the time, which is, particular to the Carolinas, a group called the Rivieras. And we play up and down the road, fraternity parties, high school. I never went to my own prom because I was playing. I probably couldn't get a date, but anyway, I never went. And so
we'll keep story A.
That's right. But so I played, and in college, I was in a fraternity at Carolina, and again, never went to a fraternity party because every weekend I was playing somebody else's. I was sure that that was sort of going to be the end of it. After college, decided to apply to law school. My heart wasn't in it, that DNA of music, so I decided to take a year off. I went to work for an agency called Hit Attractions. That was the first really big-time agency that booked every band and promoted shows at this place called Park Center, the Grady Cole Center now. And after a year, there was no chance I was going to law school because I was loving it. And crazy enough, I started a club called the Boardwalk on Monroe Road. It was a beach music club. Had the chairman of the board as one of our first groups. So during the day, I was an agent. At night, I was a club owner. And on weekends, I was playing in a band. So are you
What
kidding?
age was this? Like after college, right?
Yeah, I was 23.
Wow.
That was just a couple of years ago.
So where on Monroe Road? Because I live in that area.
It was sort of near Monroe and Sharon Amity.
Oh, okay, down that way. Yep.
It's now like a 7-Eleven kind of store. But it was fun. I had a couple of years experience, which, by the way, helped me understand what it was going to be like to open Middle C. But so from there, the club existed for a couple of years, and then I made being an agent manager full-time. I worked at a company, Hit Attractions, till 1986. Then I merged and started East Coast Entertainment with a bunch of my friends and partners, and proud to say when I retired from that in 2019, we had 12 offices up and down the East Coast and 80 agents, and I had a wonderful career booking talent, managing acts, and you can imagine experiencing everything under the sun with not only the groups I booked, but the clients that I met and the new relationships I made. But that wasn't enough for me, so I had to keep doing these other things like Alive After Fives, Charlotte, that we still do, one at South Park. And then I had this sort of epiphany and this dream about creating a private music club in 2007. I loved Spirit Square, McGlowan Theater, and that has been a dream come true. 18 years later, still doing it. At one point before COVID, I had it in 4 cities. So it was really, really fun and successful. And again, meeting the Dinah Rosses of the world and Arethas and on and on. I'm just a little guy, kid from Charlotte, just like anybody. I can't believe that I've been able to have those opportunities. And then my last sort of bucket list, although probably it's not last because I keep dreaming every night, was to be able to give back to Charlotte, to a group of musicians that are underappreciated, underpaid, and that was to start a club called Middle C Jazz, which we did November 2019. So
not necessarily the ones that are mainstream.
Exactly. I felt there was a need for a great jazz club, but what it's morphed into is really, if I could rename it now, it'd be Middle C Music, because we are open 5-6 nights a week, and we do everything. Last night,
the Johnny Cash, I was like,
we even did a Johnny Cash. That's not jazz, but it was fun.
Like, that would be interesting.
That's right. Although we've done groups like Jazz is Led, which is a group that does a lot of Led Zeppelin music with a jazz twist. But we try to be a little bit of everything to everybody, but with a main focus on that word jazz, which can mean a lot.
Nowadays, right? There's so much
Yes.
of like fusion, like they're jazz, funk, hip hop.
I'm glad you said it because a lot of people, and that's a great point, Jennifer, because a lot of people at the beginning thought jazz was three guys sitting in the corner, playing these long riffs. It's anything but that. It's all the things you expressed and with great vocals. And one of our, local, two of our we call them the gurus of our club, Noel Friedland, Maria Howell, who's famous in herself. They come in and do a sort of twist on different jazz themes. One week it might be Stevie Wonder with a jazz feel, Chicago, music of Chicago, Ray Charles, Carole King, Motown. They've done every imaginable theme with a jazz twist because guess what? You got to sell tickets, make it fun, make it commercial, and that's what we've learned works.
Love it. And I've talked about this on OuiTalkRaw before, but I worked at the Cajun Queen for many, 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 many years. So those, Bill Hanna and Jim Lackey and Jim Stack, I actually interviewed on the show. Jim Stack,
Great
he
friends.
is my heart.
Oh my gosh.
Jim Stack is my heart. I love him.
And Bill Hanna, are you kidding? He was a god.
Did you know Jim Lackey, the drummer?
They're all good friends. Yes. I used to go see them all. I mean, I'm glad you talked about wonderful people. We did a tribute for Bill in year 1 or 2 when at Middle C, and it was packed with all those
his students, probably, right?
Oh my gosh, so many, people like Ziad and all of those people that are local guys that he molded them. Not only taught them about music, but guess what? More about life.
And he's not a softie.
Oh no,
he is not a softie.
Yeah, and they used to play at the Double Door, do his Bill Hanna thing. I mean, Bill was an institution here, along with Lunas McGlowan.
Yeah.
I'm on a committee called the Trail of History, and they erect statues around.
Oh, Jim Stack told us that. Yeah,
yes,
there's
and
a statue.
So I just helped them raise money to have Lunas's statue, which is now on the Greenway. And because Lunas, like Bill, were influential in the music scene. Lunas, by the way, just quick diversion, was so well loved that when I had Tony Bennett come play for me at Music with Friends, first thing he said, Larry, do you happen to know a guy named Lunas McGlowan? I said, do I know him? He said, he's one of the most respected musicians in the world, writers, producers. And here he was in our own city. And by the way, this Saturday night, we have Tony's daughter at Middle C Jazz.
That.
Yeah. So
I thought about going, but my kid has a football game. So
well,
that's not music.
You can go to the Late Show. Come on.
Seriously.
Rebecca will leave several tickets for you.
Yes, I need to check it out 100%. So yeah, Jim Stack, I know Lunas produced, or he worked with him on one of his albums, like Jim Stack and Friends. And
that's right.
Definitely. Yeah. But that's what's cool about those boys, as I like to call them,
yeah.
is they do, they stick to the old school jazz, right? It's
they do.
They don't really do like the Dixieland stuff. It's just that old school, like
it is
sultry, beautiful Dave Brubeck jazz.
And you know what? I have to tell you, this is something even I didn't realize after, honestly, 40 years of being on this business side, an agent manager, like I said, there is so much talent in Charlotte and this area. Not just those, but there's so many great horn players, musicians, percussionists, everything. I mean, and now there are more and more people moving to Charlotte because of their love of music. So this is just a treasure trove of brilliant musicians in our own city. We shouldn't undersell ourselves to Nashville, to Atlanta, to New York, LA. We have so many great people right here.
I agree.
It's unbelievable.
And that's why I love going to Goldie's, how they have music like Saturdays, like 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. and they have music all day. And I'm like, I feel like I'm in a real city, Like
I know.
Like Music City. Like it feels really good to be a part of that.
Well, the Hagers, by the way, are one of our partners. And Tyler runs Goldie's, and it's just another wonderful place to go. But I'm going to share a little secret because we're talking about music. One of our great, great businessmen, Gene Woods, who's the CEO of what was Atrium, now it's a newer healthcare system. It's actually the number 2 healthcare system in the country. Gene's real passion is music. He plays guitar, he sings, and he's been at our club several times. But he, along with Charlotte Center City Partners Group, are forming a really substantial group of businessmen to continue to make music a focus in Charlotte. And they're going to put millions of dollars in resources to help the whole ecosystem in Charlotte. That means maybe more recording studios, maybe more space for new musicians to practice, more clubs. There's so much. When you look at what Charlotte's going to be 10 years from now with regard to music, you're going to really be surprised. We're going to be up there with Nashville, Austin, and other great music cities.
I think that's great. And I also think it's great because what you're saying is if the music scene grows here in Charlotte, then the musicians will probably also be taken care of. More, right?
They will come,
they'll be able to, charge more and create more of a living, right? Because I'm really drawn to like the open mic scene here in Charlotte, which I love because of what we're talking about, right? You can have, what's the piano? Is it Philip Howe?
Philip Howe plays all the time.
He'll come up, on stage at Smokey Joe's with the rock, rock and roll, and I love just that sense of like connection, and sharing, and sort of different genres of music getting together. Because I really think that is the heart of a growth of music
like
in a city.
Right.
Yeah,
Petra's is a place on Monday night that Ziad Rabi, who's an unbelievable sax player who has curated the Beckler Jazz Series that they do once a month, sort of heads that, and Phil's always there playing. I mean, unbelievable, incredible vocalists, musicians, newcomers have a platform and stage to showcase their talents. So,
well, when I was reading about you, I was like, golly gee, I thought I was a mover and shaker. I'm like, no, this guy is a mover and shaker. But I do feel like what you and I have in common, and these are my words, is it feels like you're not just a music lover, but you're like a connector. Like you're just connecting, right? You're having these clubs and these entertainments and doing these shows where you're letting like the community enjoy music, which is that's an attractive quality.
For me, in the epitaph, I would much rather be known as a music connector because I've been fortunate to have had music in my life, made a great living, met the most wonderful people. But now, as my runway is a little shorter, I still want to continue to give back and to give opportunity and to connect. I mean, this is a small example, but there's a guy, Jeremy Davenport, who's got this incredible big band from Hilton Head, and he called me. We just had this big crisis in Florida, and a couple of musicians that are playing tonight at a new place called the Kane Center, not been to at Lake Norman. Several musicians from Florida were supposed to be part of the event tonight that they're playing, and they can't make it. So he called and said, Larry, connect me with these wonderful musicians. I need help. And connect him with a guy named Tim Gordon, who was the horn musical director for the horn section for the Temps and Four Tops. Lives right here in Charlotte.
Wow.
Connect him with our own John Dillard, who is the musical director for Stephanie Mills. We've got the people here, and I like to connect them. But the other thing that, to your point, and I can see we speak the same language, is when I go to Middle C, I'm not as concerned, although I have to be concerned about bottom line, so we keep Middle C for the next 5 decades. I look at the crowd, and I see diversity. I see people smiling. I see people coming, whether it was right after, COVID or it's in times of just to be there. And I look and go, everybody there, just there because they love music. They want to connect with each other. They want to feel the music. And that's the gratitude and that I feel. And that's what I'm most grateful for. So thanks for acknowledging that.
Oh yes, of course I can feel that because I'm a connector. Like I'm a community connector, and so I feel you have that. You have that energy,
Yes, I
can feel
so.
your energy.
Yeah.
I was really impressed. And when Ellie, our girl Ellie, who's doing the full band, Taylor Swift band, cover band, she said kids were welcome. Family friendly. I was like, I'm going to bring my 12-year-old. I'm going to drag him because he says he hates Taylor Swift. Yeah, he knows every lyric.
Well,
I'm going to drag him to that show.
So part of the mission at Middle C is, again, there's a greater purpose within the community. We had a conversation this week with the head of the Charlotte Symphony to talk about how we can also help hurricane victims in Western North Carolina. But we also have talked about how we can use that as a platform for young kids to come and be inspired and become that next generation of great performers. So we are trying to reach out to the music community, the Northwest School of Arts folks and band teachers at different schools. We have an event 4 times a year called sort of Listen and Learn. So we have an artist that will come in and they'll take you talk Brubeck, but if we want to do the music of Brubeck, it would be, they would play a few songs, but in between they would tell the story of Brubeck and why his beats, he had this 5/4 syncopation versus the typical 4/4. And we want all those students and people that love music to be part of it and come and learn. And then to your point about kids coming to shows, we specifically have programmed 3 or 4 shows in December. Every year we do this Charlie Brown Christmas show with Lavelle Bradford, who's wonderful. And it's all about that Charlie Brown music. And most of the audience are parents and kids. This Taylor Swift thing we're going to do, parents and kids. You just talked about Philip Howe. I don't know how you knew this, but guess what? I think it's Sunday, December 8th. We just curated a new show. It's the songs of Disney performed by Phil for kids. So like your favorite Disney themed songs. And it's a Sunday afternoon specifically geared so that children can get and be inspired. So yes, you and I are syncing on this because that's what we want to do.
I think Charlotte needs people, not to toot my own horn, like you and I.
Yes. Well, let's toot our horn for a minute. I mean?
Because I think that's what, I think, and this is where my next question was going. We're known to be a banking city, right? And so people like you and I need to sort of pioneer certain paths. Like I'm sort of, the weird woo-woo healer that wants to talk about spirituality to all of Charlotte, but we're the banking city. But you'd be surprised, like Charlotte's ready to change and shift. So my question is, did you run into that like sort of resistance years back being like, Charlotte's a banking city. We're not super creative, like how did you navigate through those waters early on?
Well, if you know me, I love people, naysayers and resistance. Because for me, honestly, it's so motivating that people say, well, you can't do this here, or you're not going to get enough support of that. Almost everything I've done, there have been naysayers or people that present the glass as half empty. So that just motivates me more and more. And as I've overcome that and realize that I'm going to fill that glass up and have success, it gives me more confidence to do the next thing. And then I realized when I retired that, you know what, I could retire and go fishing. I don't like to fish, but play golf. I'm not good at it. I do play golf, but there was a greater purpose because I really do want to be known when I can't do this anymore and I'm not here for somebody that gave back to the community, made music something important in Charlotte. And now, not only people like you, not only people like I mentioned, Gene Woods, and so many other have that same vision. Charlotte Center City Partners wants that vision. So when I grew up in Charlotte, like I said, we were known for banking, for NASCAR, and for Ric Flair. And all those things are wonderful, but I wanted us to be known for some cultural things, the Beckler that's come, and the arts and dance and theater and music. So I believe that as long as I have this energy and passion, I'm going to continue doing things that I can feel proud of, and people will look back 10, 20 years, my kids, my grandkids, and say, hey, my dad, Pops, did way more than just playing a band or have an agency or a jazz club. He gave back and helped make music something really important in Charlotte.
I love it. And I also think, do you agree that you think creativity elevates the vibe of a city? Like when I go to cities that have more like arts and culture and music, to me, I feel like it just feels like that the vibration is higher.
Oh, I mean, the juices get flowing. I mean, when I walk around some of the new areas, whether it's what they've done in Noda, and there's a new little jazz club there, and I wish them luck, called 88.
Oh, the 88s, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go try them. See, I don't look at these.
It's like north of Noda, though.
North of Noda,
it?
right.
Yes, yes.
I don't look at any of these places or other places competition. I look at it as there are more steakhouses, so more people that want to have steak come to Charlotte. There's more music. So
it means there's a want.
There's
right?
a want.
There's a need. Yeah.
I mean, when people don't think community-wise, I mean, I love that there's there. I love that there's jazz arts that Lonnie Davis does, that, as I mentioned, that the Beckler. I love all those people contributing in the club business. You talked about clubs you go to and the neighborhood theaters, and this is so good for us. And I go now and see that, and see the people that are moving here for the music at all ages. I go in South End and feel the vibe. You just mentioned Goldie's there. We are a real city with a real vibe.
A real city.
And we're bringing lots of cool people here.
I agree. I feel like for so long, Charlotte didn't feel like real city.
We didn't have it.
I mean, I just feel like we were Charlotte.
Yes.
But now there's so much. There's so much more richness and depth to Charlotte. And I think Charlotte needs people like you to be leading that way. It's so easy to be normal, isn't it? But
it is.
I'm just not, and you're not.
And
we're just not.
No, and you know what else is important, and we're talking about this, is making sure that with funding, this isn't a political statement, that is still, we fund programs for the arts in school. And one of the things that we're talking about at Middle C there's a group that we associate ourselves with called Arts Plus. You know what Arts Plus does? They try to give instruments that's for students in need. They try to provide lessons for underprivileged kids that otherwise wouldn't have the space and opportunity. Our whole team fell in love with that. So we took money from one of our pots and gave it to Arts Plus to help enrich our city. So I'm trying to do what we can through our business, but our people in our community, our government can't cut funding to schools for kids that have their orchestras and their bands, and having a band leader that is there teaching is as important as a science and math teacher. So to me, I want to raise that awareness so that our city is enriched through the school system, through all other things we've discussed.
Gosh, well, let me help you. This sounds like fun. Like, I want to help.
You ready?
Let's do it. So actually, we're going to go to a quick break, and then I'm going to ask you a deep question. So stay tuned, everyone. Come back.
All right.
Welcome to this week's DJ World Beats Artist Showcase. I am Delta Sigma, part of the DJ World Beats independent, national and international trending music explosion, exclusively on the rBeatz radio streaming and media network app on all your favorite listening devices. Thank you for joining me today. Let's celebrate the trending artist showcase on the rBeatz radio streams. Firstly, we have on our hip hop, world and reggae stream, We Global Radio. 1. Hallie, Because I Love You. 2. Morgan and Byron Mesher, Wheels Up. On our rock country and hairband stream, USA Heroes Radio, we have 1. Fantastic Negrito, Undefeated Eyes featuring Sting. 2. Keziah Jones, Melissa. Lastly, on our pop mix and variety stream we have 1. Sia and Chromeo, I Forgive You remix. 2. Liar Grace, Falling Out of Love. 3. Kamayu, Holy Spirit. Thank you for sharing, and don't forget to catch me, Delta Sigma, on rbeatz.com, the app, YouTube, and all your fave listening devices next week, as we bring you the latest bangers that hit different on rbeatz.com.
We're very honored to be here today and to form a partnership with Michael and bringing an American Hockey League team to Charlotte. We really feel that this is a huge step forward to the growth of hockey in North Carolina and in the South.
Game in American Hockey League history, and we are in the midst of it. Rebound chance, St. Patrick. They're going to the Calder Cup Finals. The Charlotte Checkers are Calder Cup champions. They are the kings of the American Hockey League, and there's no one left to beat. Lawrence can win the game. Fake shoots.
It's been 590 days since the last hockey game in Charlotte, and the Checkers will don a new affiliate on their sweaters and a familiar face as their new captain.
Nash out front, dangling, shot, he scores! Checkers with a rebound, Carlson buries it, we're back tomorrow night! Right wing board, Samiskevich finds some ice shot, he scores, and the The Checkers have their first lead of the Queen City Outdoor Classic. Number 124 for number 21, the new franchise record.
And we are back. I'm Jennifer Busco, interviewing and having a blast with Larry Farber. Are you ready for the woo-woo question?
Your new friend, Larry
Yes,
Farber.
I know.
Okay.
I'm so excited. How often do you use your intuition when you make choices?
All the time. What a great question, because when I hire people, when I work with musicians in life, it is such a gut feeling. You can look at a resume, you can talk to other people, and then you can look them in the eye and look in their soul, and you can know, is that a good person? What's important to them? And I really feel 80, 90% of the time I've been spot on. The 10 or 15% I'm disappointed, but I don't let that overshadow that intuitive feeling that I get when I meet somebody and feel the vibe, feel the chemistry.
Or even just making choices, right, of your your entertainment group, of opening these clubs. Those are fairly large decisions.
They are.
So do you have a feeling? Do you get like a little message? How does it come through? How does the intuition come through?
I think it's just based on the years of experience that you really, if you listen well, you can cut through all that mustard and you can really make judgments about people. But one of the things is you got to listen. You got to really listen, and you got to take out that BS factor, because when people are performing and when it's genuine. And again, that's just a gift to be able to sort of look into somebody and know those genuine, real people. And I associate myself, I would say, where I'm really lucky, I have such a good core of great friends, but those great friends are genuinely good people. And to that point, here's a good example. I mean, Philip Bailey, doesn't get bigger than him. He's the lead singer of Earth, Wind & Fire. There's not a greater voice in that R&B soulful world. Well, we met the first time when I booked him, and I had this image that he would be just unapproachable and whatever. We've become like just best buddies, going to eat at, a barbecue in town, and just, he doesn't care that anybody knows him. I mean, one time he was playing, and he was going to get on a bus to go play golf because he didn't want to ask anybody to do him a favor. I mean, this guy is wealthy beyond wealthy, but he's humble and great. So many of those musicians I met, you can tell they're just really great people, and some not so much. But it's pretty easy to know who the really good guys are.
I mean, I think it's a matter of, do you let your ego sort of rule you when you have that fame? Because I think to be creative, you almost have to be humble, because you have to trust what's coming through, right? If you're creating something,
true.
You sort of have to have a humility and courage to, give the world whatever it is that you're creating. But I think then the ego can step in when wealth gets involved and fame and all that stuff.
Right. I feel, you were talking about the old school guys like Jim Stack and Bill. There's some of those great legends, whether they're regional or national, are the best. I mean, Tony Bennett, when I had him, just a humble, good person that, is big a star as they come, but they are, they're just wonderful people. Sometimes some of the newer artists that get this fame quickly don't know how to process it, and haven't had a good fundamental background in life, their core values. So when all this money and fame is thrown upon them, they just don't know. And it's not their fault sometimes.
Look at Britney Spears. She's kind of
there have been a lot of stories like that you feel sorry.
Yeah, you can tell that she struggles with, when you look at her social media. But I mean, she was in the Mickey Mouse Club, I believe, and that at a young age.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Something about Jim Stack. When we did Jim Stack's, we interviewed Jim Stack. We went to his home, but going back to like having music in your bones and your blood. So he can't play at the Cajun Queen anymore because he has to go upstairs and he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
But he plays at his home. like 3 or 4 nights a week. I mean, and that is just like a testament to how music just never leaves you. I mean,
And he used to play at Charlotte Country Club.
Yep.
I know, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was playing, I think, 7 nights a week.
I know,
5
unbelievable.
there and then
Yeah.
2 with the Queen.
Right.
And now he's playing for all of these. And, you know, he's a very quiet guy. So when we were interviewing, like these women were coming up to me, they're like, what are you all talking about? They're like, can we watch? We want to know about Jim Stack. I'm like, he's fascinating.
Yeah.
You need to
Yeah.
watch the show.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, people are just, the music is, it's a whole thing, isn't it?
It's absolutely the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, do you want to share like a fun story that you may have about somebody that we may recognize or a connection that you made?
You know, I say this, and I wrote that little book, Noted Memories. And by the way, people go, well, how did you do with that? And I said, well, we did well. We've sold well under 400. That's my ongoing joke. But I didn't do it to sell lots of copies. I really did it for kids, grandkids, to leave a legacy and let them know what their pops did. But that book contains so many great stories that sometimes I don't like to be I really don't center attention at parties or groups. But the reason I tell these stories is because it helps people understand that about how great some of these people really are. So there's so many, but here's one. The night that we were going to have Aretha Franklin play for Music with Friends, the night before she played, I got a call, and unfortunately, Whitney Houston passed away, and Aretha was her godmother. And the manager called and said she is really, really distraught, and she may not be able to play because she's in mourning. So I went, oh, I understand. I tried to think, what could I do? So I had her meet me at Spirit Square, which is this old Baptist church, beautiful Baptist church, which was the origins of her dad and where she grew up. And she came and she met me late at night. She had a big fur coat on, and I was sitting about 10 rows away from her. I didn't want to bother her. And she just was in the moment in the church thinking about everything. And her manager called me over and said, Miss Franklin will perform tomorrow night for you, but under one condition, that she can pay tribute to Whitney. And I went, of course. And she did. And it was one of the most incredible nights. But also the fun story before she did that, part of the night was she needed to be paid in cash. And that was just her thing, from all the mischievous that went on from club owners not paying her in the early days in Detroit. So I was in the dressing room. There I am with Aretha Franklin counting out a lot of money. And the manager said, Larry, don't be insulted if after you count out this large amount of money, she asked you to recount it. That's just who she is. I said, no harm, no foul. I got through and I said, Miss Franklin, may I count it again for you? She said, oh, no, honey, I trust you. And I knew, yes, I had a new friend.
Wow. I mean, you have a good vibe. Your energy is very clean and clear. Like, I think she could probably pick up on that.
So it was, but there's so many great stories that have happened. As I said, when I had Bonnie Raitt and Darius Rucker called me and said, Larry, hey, Angels from Montgomery is one of my favorite songs. I would love to sing it with her. Do you mind if I fly in on my own nickel and get on stage? And I said, are you kidding? Of course. So there we created magic that night. I told you about Jackson Browne and Maurice Williams. I had a show in Charleston with Smokey Robinson, and I had Hall & Oates the year before, and Daryl Hall loved Smokey. He called me, flew in to see him, got on stage, and they sang Motown songs together. It's just the magic of music. And it's also, that what we don't realize is those musicians themselves love to meet other musicians, and they're just as excited and enamored with other people as we are. So it's just a great community of family and love and music. Wow. So those are a few of the many stories.
I love it. So did Aretha cover any Whitney Houston songs?
Oh my gosh, she came on stage. By the way, she took the big pocketbook of hers that had all the cash in it, and she brought it on stage, and she put it right on the piano that she could only see. And she sat down, normally doesn't do this in a show. She's up singing Respect and all her great songs. And she got on the piano, which I had no idea she could play like she did. And she, Whitney's song, I'll Always Love You, she started singing it and just going off on wrist and looking to the heavens and going, Whitney, I'll always love you. And it went on for 15 minutes and everybody's crying. And what I didn't realize is ABC, NBC, CBS, they all sent crews down, got permission from me to be able to film a little bit of the beginning. It was all over national news because they all knew the connection between Whitney and Aretha.
And what club was that at? That was here in Charlotte?
That was Music with Friends.
Oh, okay.
That I did, yeah.
Was that like a brick and mortar place, or was
no,
it like a
we
festival?
do it. We did it at Spirit Square for 14 years. We're now at Queens while Spirit Square is being renovated. And in about 2 weeks, I have a big surprise announcement about where we're moving. I can't because I've got to share it with I got to share it with the members first. But we've got a big announcement about next year, and it's unbelievable. It's going to be the most exciting new thing about Music with Friends since 2007.
So Taylor Swift, and she's going to be.
No, it's not who's going to be there. It's where we're going and what we're doing.
Oh, so, fun! I want to come.
Yeah, I'll tell you off air.
Good. Have you had any hurdles or challenges that you want to share in your industry?
Oh my gosh, there was that show, I think years ago, and I used to think of myself as a music Olivia Pope. It was Scandal. And her whole show was she was a fixer. She had to fix problems, political problems. It's easy when everything goes right. Mm-hmm. It's so easy. But in music, in life, it doesn't always go right. So in order to succeed, you have to solve problems calmly, even when you don't think you'll be able to do it. I mean, I had let's see who it was. It was, I think it was not ZZ Top, or maybe it was ZZ Top. The bass player died the night before. It was ZZ Top, the night before his performance for Music with Friends. So we had to cancel the show a night before. We had to figure out how to get message to 600 people and then how to find somebody to replace it and do this within 24 hours. And, you can either panic or want to sink into a hole or go, here's what I got to do. So there's always hurdles. There's always, issues, whether it's with, liquor, with the club, license, food service, artists breaking down, people getting sick, acts of God, hurricanes, floods, things that you always have to be prepared for the challenges. It's so easy to be successful when it goes right. You really earn your pay when you create a good outcome when the chips are down.
Show must go on.
The show must go on.
So, do you meditate? Are you conscious of thoughts versus not thoughts?
No, but I need to meditate and come to your yoga.
Yes,
because I do need that. I mean, I am so friggin' high strung. I get it done, but I feel that stress in my bones. And everybody that's been a close friend has tried to say, look, you need to take a deep breath, meditate, yoga, all those things. So we'll talk about that. But yes, I need that in my life.
See, you feel like an old soul to me. You feel like you've done this before.
Yeah.
I've lived many lives, and you seem like you got your stuff together.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
Speaking of keeping your stuff together, do you have any advice for anybody out there? So either like an independent artist or someone that's in the industry like you are with owning clubs and entertainment companies.
I really do. I mean, the advice is don't give up on your dreams. Don't let people tell you can't do it. Look under every rock, pursue everybody, ask questions. Don't be afraid to get advice, gather it, because generally people do want to help. And, maybe I'll end with a story. I've been approached by so many different young people that you would never have thought would have an opportunity. And I, as a general rule, always, if it's my friend's kids, if it's your 12-year-old, no matter what, if they have a dream that's about music, and they call me and want to come to my office, get me on the phone, I don't care how busy I am. I never say no, because you never know what will happen with that person. So pure point in case. Years ago, one of my friends from through my kids that went to Country Day, this woman called me. You'll figure this out in a minute. She said, my brother's daughter is super talented. She's in some local plays. She really doesn't know a lot about the recording business yet or all of this. Would you just meet with her and my brother and just give them some words of wisdom, make sure they're being connected with the right people, and just let her talk to you? So she came to my office. I did. I heard her work, and I thought she was really talented. I went to see her in a local play, And I went back and told her parents, I said, she is really good. They said, well, she wants to go to New York and bypass college because she wants to get into business. We want to discourage her. And I said, no, don't discourage her. Let her go pursue her dreams. That's Renee Rapp. And Renee Rapp is a superstar from right here in Charlotte. She was at the Northwest School of Arts. She's as big a recording star now as there's going to be. She was on Saturday Night Live last year.
Wow.
What
kind of music? Is it rock?
Oh, she's like she's the next Taylor Swift kind of thing. She was the star of Mean Girls, the movie.
Wow.
She was the lead on Mean Girls on Broadway. Tina Fey and Lorne Michaels of Saturday Night fame found her, and they are pushing her. So the point is, this local woman is a major superstar. She came to my office years ago, and I am so glad that I gave her time. So my advice, pursue it. Don't give up. Don't let people change your minds.
I love it. And I think I needed to hear that message today, by the way, because it's very simple, right? Like, don't give up on your dreams. Because even as a healer, I don't live like a traditional life, just like the musician's life. It's not traditional. And there are weeks where I'm slower and I'm trying to push this snowball uphill and show Charlotte like what all of this, healing and energy how it can change your life. And there are weeks where I get really frustrated, but it really is something that I'll never not feel that I want to pursue.
Yeah, I can tell
I think
that.
it can I think what like your message can translate to really anybody out there that just has that drive to want to do something or walk a certain path or lead a certain path. And it doesn't always just take you straight to where you're trying to go.
Well, I've enjoyed this today because I do really mean this. My intuition, as we talked about, genuinely tells me that you are a music person, that you care about the greater good of what's going on. So it's great to meet you, Jennifer.
Oh, I love this. We're like new best friends.
Absolutely.
Let's go get some wine after this.
You got it.
Anything else you want to share? How can people find you or find your club?
Well, that is something that you want to treat yourself to. Middle C Jazz is at 300 South Brevard. We're online. We're open Wednesday through Sundays with wonderful and different shows that appeal to a lot of different audiences. Also, my wonderful project, Music with Friends. You can go online, musicwithfriends.com. We have Richard Mark coming up. It's a private club, but you can learn about all the membership availability. Come to see. We have a South Park after 5 this Thursday and next Thursday. Then we begin again in the spring. So my little footprints are everywhere in music. And please come visit me and meet me in person. I'm at the club way too many nights because I love it.
Because you love it.
Because I love it.
Are you still part of the agency, like the EC?
No, my wonderful son, my youngest son, Reed. I have 3 great boys. They all are successful in what they do. But Reed is sort of taken over
the throne.
It's not this throne, but he is following his dad's footsteps. He's one of the principal agents in the Charlotte office. He loves it, so he's pursuing his dream in music. But I still have so many of my clients that still call me because of those great relationships, and I'm trying to channel all that to the East Coast folks now. So I'm sort of there when they need me to consult, but I'm not. I'm retired from that.
Got it. So I guess my question is, do you seek out talent, or do they have to come to you and be like, "Hey, I'm talented. I want to be a part of your agency"?
Well, with the agent, when we were in an agency, it was both. But you know what, Jennifer? It's the same thing at the club. It works the same way. We have relationships with some of the most famous agencies, agents, managers in the world. But every day we get 5, 6, 7 new artists that send their material to us. So we have this whole big programming committee of people that really know music that sift through this, because guess what?
Ooh, hire me. I want to do that.
There are some gems
that sounds so
in
cool.
there. You again, it's to your point. Don't just throw it in the trash. Look and listen, because there's some really great talent that we've discovered because they came to us and said, "Hey, we're new. Give us a chance."
And you're a connector. So
That's
you could
it.
be connecting that person to, the next step or the next level, or who knows who's going to be in the audience of a band that you're taking a chance on, right?
Absolutely. Hopefully we do that.
I love it. Well, this has been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed it.
I'm going to come into Middle C
You better.
right now.
Yeah, come on.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Larry Farber. Go check out Middle C, y'all.